My $80,000 private driveway, gone overnight. Fresh black asphalt. Yellow speed bumps. HOA property signs everywhere. My grandfather's military-spec road from 1989, now their community improvement. Bill to me, $12,400. Vivian, the HOA president, waited with her clipboard and that smug smirk. Manicured nails tapping the invoice like she owned me. You should thank us, she announced. We fixed your ugly dirt path. Property values just skyrocketed. The hot tar smell hit like straight betrayal. 37 years of clear ownership erased while I was away working. She picked the wrong guy to bully. This quiet Army combat engineer was about to teach the entire neighborhood a lesson they'd never forget. What happened next cost them way more than they ever imagined. What would you do if your HOA stole your $80,000 driveway and laughed in your face? Meet Garrett Sullivan, 52, retired Army combat engineer. According to certain clipboard-wielding busybodies, the neighborhood's problem resident. I live alone on 3 acres in Willowbrook Estates, Colorado, though I was here long before it had that pretentious name. Inherited the property from Grandpa in 2010, along with the crown jewel that would spark this war. A 400-foot private access road connecting my land to County Highway 34. Grandpa built that road in 1987 with military precision and an $80,000 budget. Professional survey, county permits, engineered to handle 60-ton vehicles. The man who hauled tanks across Europe didn't mess around with half measures. Every document filed properly. Recorded in granite solid legal language that's weathered 37 years of county record keeping. Back then, my property sat surrounded by cattle pastures and pine forest. Perfect for a guy who fixes things for a living and prefers machines to people. Then 2019 brought progress. Some hotshot developer bought the surrounding ranch land, carved it into 60 identical lots, and birthed Willowbrook Estates, complete with covenant restrictions thicker than a small-town phone book. My property predates their HOA by 3 decades. I'm legally excluded from membership, which suited me perfectly. Zero interest in paying $3,000 annually for the privilege of asking permission to paint my own mailbox. That's when fate introduced me to Vivian Ashworth. Picture your worst middle school principal crossed with a bank foreclosure officer. 58 years old, relocated from Phoenix to enjoy mountain tranquility while making everyone else's life miserable. Within 6 months, she'd campaigned herself into the HOA presidency on promises of enhanced property standards and community values. Her first diplomatic visit arrived with a clipboard and that special smile reserved for people she considered beneath her station. Designer sunglasses reflecting my diesel pickup, manicured finger pointing at my work trailer like it carried the plague. This is a family neighborhood, she announced, voice dripping with practiced authority. Not some truck stop. Those commercial vehicles are completely inappropriate for our aesthetic standards. I explained that I'm a licensed contractor running a legitimate business. More importantly, she had zero legal authority over my private property. I pulled out my property documents, the original 1987 survey clearly excluding my land from any future development covenants. She examined the papers like they were written in hieroglyphics, then returned them with a smile that could have frozen antifreeze. Times change, Mr. Sullivan. We'll see about that. Red flag number 1. Over the next 18 months, Vivian transformed petty harassment into high art. Monthly violation notices for imaginary infractions. My grass was excessive, it wasn't. My workshop generated industrial noise, hand tools. My truck was leaking fluids, it wasn't. She filed complaints with the county about my unlicensed commercial operation, which consisted of building kitchen cabinets and fixing decks for neighbors who actually liked me. 3 elderly residents sold their homes rather than endure her constant nitpicking about lawn height and mailbox placement. But I stayed patient. Kept my head down, did honest work, minded my own business on my own property. Figured she'd eventually find fresh victims to torment. Then I took that week-long installation job in Wyoming. Worst decision I ever made, leaving that woman unsupervised for 7 consecutive days. I pulled into my driveway Tuesday evening, diesel engine rumbling over what should have been familiar gravel. Instead, my tires rolled smooth over fresh black asphalt that gleamed under the setting sun. Yellow speed bumps. Crisp white center lines. 3 brand new signs, private property HOA members only. My road. My grandfather's road. Paved without permission while I was busting my ass in Wyoming. Vivian's white Escalade blocked my driveway like a territorial claim. She stood beside it with that clipboard waiting for my reaction. Congratulations, she called out, voice sweet as antifreeze. We've improved your little dirt path. Your contribution comes to $12,400. The smell of fresh tar mixed with pure audacity hung in the evening air. This is my private road, Vivian. You had no right to touch it. Her smile widened. Actually, we have every right. HOA bylaws grant us improvement authority over shared community infrastructure. She held up a folder thick with official-looking papers. Plus, we're claiming ownership through adverse possession. Your private road has been used by community members for years. I pulled out my truck center console and retrieved the original 1987 property survey. Counter-recorded easement documentation. Maintenance receipts dating back 15 years. See this line here? I pointed to the surveyor's marks. Private access easement, lot 47. That's my lot number. This road is explicitly marked as my private property. Recorded with Adams County. Maintained at my expense since 2010. Vivian's confident expression flickered. But she rallied quickly. Your paperwork is outdated. We have an attorney reviewing everything. Modern community standards supersede individual property claims. The woman was making up law as she went along. That evening, I spent 3 hours researching every document related to the HOA's formation. The discovery made my coffee taste bitter. Vivian's original neighborhood survey had accidentally included my road within the HOA's proposed boundaries. Despite my property being explicitly excluded from the development, someone had deliberately tried to steal my road on paper before stealing it with asphalt. This wasn't neighbor drama. This was organized theft with legal documentation. Around midnight, my phone buzzed with a private message from Janet Mills, the property appraiser 3 houses down. Garrett, you need to know. Vivian came to me last month asking about road improvement impact on property values. She specifically asked how much paving your road would increase sale prices for HOA properties. This was planned. Clear evidence of premeditation. Vivian hadn't decided to improve my road on a whim. She'd researched, planned, and calculated the financial benefit before committing grand theft. The next morning brought fresh insults. I walked outside to find a bright yellow vehicle boot clamped onto my truck's front tire. A laminated notice explained that my vehicle was illegally parked on HOA property and subject to $200 removal fees plus $40 daily storage costs. Deputy Martinez from Adams County Sheriff's Office arrived within 20 minutes, examined my property documents, and had the boot removed in 5 minutes flat. Ma'am, he told Vivian, who'd appeared the moment his patrol car pulled up, this gentleman owns this road. You can't boot vehicles on private property that isn't yours. But Vivian's smile never wavered. We'll see about that, Deputy. Our attorney will have something to say. Game on. The emergency HOA board meeting took place in Vivian's living room. I arrived with Patricia Finley, the property rights attorney I'd hired that afternoon. 5 board members sat around Vivian's dining table looking like they'd rather be anywhere else. We're here to address Mr. Sullivan's selfish refusal to pay his fair share for community improvements, Vivian began. Patricia set her briefcase on Vivian's coffee table with a satisfying thunk. Actually, we're here because your client paved over private property without permission, then tried to extort $12,000. In legal terms, that's called theft and fraud. Board member Tom Bradley shifted nervously. Wait, nobody mentioned theft when we voted on this road project. Bingo. The whole board wasn't in on Vivian's scheme. Patricia opened her briefcase. Documents spread across Vivian's pristine coffee table. Original surveys, deed transfers, maintenance records spanning 15 years. This proves continuous exclusive ownership since 1987. What you've done isn't just wrong. It's criminal. Board member Sarah Kim raised her trembling hand. Vivian, you told us this was shared community property. You said Mr. Sullivan had already agreed. Vivian's face went red. I said some residents might initially resist contributing to obvious improvements. Vivian had straight up lied to her own board to steal my road. The meeting exploded. 3 board members demanded to see Vivian's legal documentation. She produced what looked like a map drawn by a kindergartner with a broken crayon. Patricia actually snorted with laughter. Ma'am, you can't redraw county property lines with a Sharpie and call it legal. Tom Bradley stood up so fast his chair scraped. I resign. Effective right now. I won't be part of whatever crazy train this is. 2 more board members followed within minutes. Tuesday brought the phone call that changed everything. My insurance agent, Dave Morrison, called with news that made my coffee taste like victory. Garrett, someone filed a fraudulent claim saying they own your road. But here's the kicker. The insurance company ran a background check. Vivian Ashworth has 3 prior insurance fraud attempts on her record. Phoenix PD investigated her twice. She's flagged in the system. My quiet neighbor wasn't just a petty tyrant. She was a career criminal who'd moved to Colorado to find fresh victims. State Insurance Fraud Unit gets involved. This could be felony charges with her pattern. Thursday morning brought Jackson Torres to my doorstep, 6'2" of pure engineering expertise wrapped in a state DOT uniform. "Garrett, you magnificent bastard," he grinned. "When you called about property violations, I figured some neighbor was whining over a fence line. This is felony theft disguised as community improvement." Jackson spread county maps across my tailgate. "Your grandfather's easement documentation is fortress-level bulletproof. But here's the beautiful part. This HOA's formation documents show deliberate boundary manipulation. What's my nuclear option?" Jackson's smile turned predatory. "Private road owners in Colorado have God-level authority over access permissions. You can terminate usage rights with 72 hours written notice. No exceptions, no appeals, no requirement to provide alternative access." Patricia Finley arrived carrying discovery documents that made Christmas morning look disappointing. "Vivian funded your road theft using emergency assessment powers," Patricia explained. "She charged every household $1,379 without board approval. That's unauthorized extraction of $80,000 from families who had no idea they were funding her crime spree." Jackson added the final piece. 43 households use your road as primary access. Without it, they're looking at a 6-mile detour through Pine Valley Township every single day. Vivian's precious subdivision was essentially held hostage by the road she tried to steal. Patricia began stacking documents with surgical precision. "Here's the plan. Formal termination notices delivered to all 58 households simultaneously. 72 hours later, Rodriguez Brothers Towing removes every unauthorized vehicle." The plan crystallized like ice forming on a windshield. Not revenge. Justice delivered through channels Vivian couldn't argue with. "What about innocent neighbors caught in crossfire?" "They're victims too," Patricia said. "Vivian robbed them to pave your road. Full restitution comes after criminal proceedings conclude." I had 72 hours to prepare the most expensive property law lesson in state history. Saturday, 7 a.m. game time. The morning air felt electric with anticipation as Carlos Rodriguez's lead truck rumbled down my road like mechanized justice. Behind him, 11 more tow vehicles followed in perfect formation. "First target acquired," Carlos radioed. "White Escalade, driveway position Alpha 1. Through my workshop window, I watched Vivian's precious luxury tank get hoisted into the air like a trophy. That's when Vivian exploded from her front door in a pink bathrobe and flip-flops. "You can't do this. That's my car. I'm calling the police." Miguel Rodriguez leaned out his cab window with a grin. "Ma'am, police already been notified. This is legal property enforcement. Have a blessed morning." Within minutes, the neighborhood echoed with the mechanical symphony of vehicles being systematically removed. Residents stumbled out of houses in bathrobes. Coffee cups fell from shocked hands. Cell phones appeared as people documented the greatest property rights enforcement action in state history. The 3 security guards Vivian had hired stood on street corners looking confused. Their radios squawked, "Stay clear of private property. Do not interfere with legal operations." Even rent-a-cops understood property law better than Vivian. 7:30 a.m. delivered Vivian's final desperate gambit. She appeared at my property line carrying a bullhorn and what looked like a restraining order. "Attention everyone. I have a court order prohibiting this illegal seizure." Patricia Finley materialized beside me, examining Vivian's court order with professional contempt. "This is a civil complaint form downloaded from the county website," Patricia announced. "It has no legal authority." She's waving around blank paperwork like it's a magic spell. The laughter from assembled neighbors sounded like justice itself. 8 a.m. brought media attention. Channel 9's news van arrived first, followed by 3 more stations and national network satellite trucks. Sarah Kim from Channel 9 approached with microphones and cameras. "Mr. Sullivan, can you explain what's happening here this morning?" I looked directly into the camera lens, 58 empty driveways stretching behind me. Sometimes you have to remind people that property rights aren't suggestions. My family built this road in 1987 before most of these people were even thinking about Colorado. I held up Grandpa's original construction photos and the county-recorded property deed. Vivian Ashworth decided she could steal 37 years of legal ownership while I was working out of state. She was wrong. Vivian pushed through the crowd. This is harassment. This man is unstable. 58 families are being held hostage by a disturbed veteran. Deputy Martinez stepped forward. Ma'am, I've reviewed all documentation. Mr. Sullivan owns this road legally and absolutely. These vehicles are trespassing on private property after receiving proper legal notice. But people need their cars. Vivian shrieked. Should have thought about that before you stole his road, called out Mrs. Henderson, the elderly neighbor Vivian had terrorized over bird feeders. The crowd murmured agreement as neighbors who'd endured years of HOA harassment finally found their voices. She fined me $300 for parking in my own driveway. Charged my family $2,000 for planting tomatoes. Made my kids stop riding bikes because of excessive recreational noise. Channel 9's news helicopter appeared overhead, broadcasting live footage of the most comprehensive vehicle removal operation in Colorado history. Senor Sullivan, Carlos Rodriguez called out. 56 vehicles removed successfully. 2 remaining targets in progress. Sarah Kim thrust her microphone toward me for the closing statement. Property rights are the foundation of American freedom. When someone tries to steal what your family built with honest work, you have every legal right to defend it. I gestured toward the empty driveways. This is what happens when bullies discover they picked the wrong person to mess with. 9 a.m. sharp. Mission accomplished. 58 vehicles impounded. 1 neighborhood bully defeated. The aftermath was more beautiful than I dared imagine. By noon Saturday, 47 vehicles had been retrieved from Rodriguez Brothers' storage facility. Average cost per household, $230 towing fees plus half-day storage. Vivian's Escalade remained in impound for 6 days while she scrambled to gather money. Sunday brought the community meeting that changed everything. 53 households attended, the largest neighborhood gathering in 3 years. Tom Bradley stood up with financial documents. Vivian charged us $212,000 in unauthorized assessments over 3 years. Every penny was illegal under Colorado HOA law. Janet Mills followed with property value analysis. Since Vivian became president, our home values dropped 14%. Legal complications from her unauthorized projects made houses impossible to sell. Monday brought criminal consequences. Patricia called with updates. State Insurance Fraud Unit filed felony charges. With her Phoenix conviction history, Vivian's looking at mandatory minimum 3 years in federal prison. Plus full restitution to every defrauded household and your legal fees. Tuesday delivered Vivian's resignation letter, 3 sentences of pure defeat. By Friday, a for sale sign appeared in Vivian's front yard. She'd moved to Arizona, citing family health issues, the universal excuse for fleeing criminal consequences. The neighborhood transformation was remarkable. Without Vivian's constant harassment, families started spending time outdoors again. Children rode bikes without fear of noise violation citations. Mrs. Henderson's bird feeders returned, attracting cardinals and finches. 6 months later, I established the Willowbrook Property Rights Defense Fund, a scholarship providing $5,000 annually to law students studying property rights advocacy. Jackson Torres and I launched Veterans Property Solutions, consulting with military families facing HOA harassment nationwide. Pro bono services for elderly and disabled property owners who can't afford legal defense. Our reputation grew fast. 3 television documentaries, 2 law school case studies, and enough speaking engagements to keep us busy until retirement. Today, Willowbrook Estates operates under new leadership focused on actual community improvement instead of personal power trips. Property values stabilized 15% above pre-Vivian levels. Turns out communities thrive when residents feel secure in their ownership rights instead of constantly threatened by petty dictators with clipboards. 58 empty driveways. That's what accountability looks like on a Saturday morning in Colorado. You know what stays with me about this story? It wasn't the tow trucks or even Vivian's meltdown in that pink bathrobe. It was how quiet the neighborhood got afterward. Like everyone finally exhaled after holding their breath for 3 years. Vivian made one fatal mistake. She confused being loud with being right. While she was busy playing neighborhood dictator, I was building an airtight case with 37 years of documentation, property deeds, maintenance records, and that beautiful 72-hour termination notice that Colorado law let me serve like a legal hellfire grenade. The best part? She had multiple chances to walk away. Settlement offers. Resignation. Simple apology. Instead, she chose the expensive education package. Here's my question for you. How many Vivians are terrorizing neighborhoods right now, banking on good people being too polite to fight back? If you're dealing with HOA overreach, you're not alone. Drop your story in the comments below and tell me your state. I read every single one. Hit that subscribe button for the HOA files, where we expose corrupt HOAs and teach property owners how to fight back with the law on their side. Like this video if watching justice served made your morning. Share it with anyone dealing with their own clipboard tyrant. Because sometimes, the quiet neighbor with an engineering degree knows exactly how to solve problems permanently. This is the HOA files, where property rights matter more than power trips, and bullies learn that consequences are real. See you in the next one.